back to our series of interviews with Euros members and colleagues around the world. It's my great pleasure to introduce you right now to Eleonore van Rijckevorsel from Bright Expats. Now, first of all, I know you're a multi-site because you're based in Eindhoven and in Brussels. Is that right?
Yes, but I'm actually really working in Brussels. My counterpart, Dini van der Weide, is indeed running the Bright Expats office in Eindhoven, but we are two separate entities.
Got it, right. Oh, well, that's good. But it's good to know because there's lots of things that are interesting to talk about when you're based in more than one place. So first of all, how are things right now in Belgium?
I'm happy to say that we are fine, actually, and I can say that we are eventually looking ahead, as this is the first day of the lifting of the lockdown. So activities have resumed. People are very eager to get back to work. Some students are even eager to get back to school. But we're still very cautious, right? So whatever you start doing again, you do that with a lot of preventions, social distancing, people wearing masks. So I cannot say it's back to normal, but it's back to life. There is still a little bit of uncertainty about the opening of the borders. And I know that is a quite a gray zone, a quite uncomfortable gray zone for people in our industry, right? Because you don't know when you can advise people to book the tickets, come to Belgium, and we cannot say 100% sure how the living condition will be here. We have to have the quarantine. So sky is clearing up, and I would say week after week, we have a better view on how things will be feasible and when, but it's not completely clear yet.
It is so interesting how governments are starting to readjust to managing all of our expectations about what happens now. So today is a really important day for you then in Belgium. So are the schools back, or just some years of some schools, or how's that working?
So the plan is that some years of the schools will be open from next week on, Monday. But see, on a whole curriculum, only 3 years we go open, which is not a lot, right? They did choose to give priority to the years where children have to give some exams, like the preparatory years, and for the other students that will be teaching at home. And it is asked to the parents who are able to work from home to stay working at home. For sanitary reasons, of course, because teleworking is still the favorite option of all for all kind of activities, and also to avoid that schools will be overwhelmed with kids from one day to the other. And yes.
I mean, that's so. Go on, please.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, because I mean, obviously that impacts on all of you and your team as well. I mean, from the point of view of when this began, were you able to all work from home? Had you already been doing some of that stuff, or was it a complete, wow, we've got to get this out right now?
I think that whole situation was a wow, right? Because we were looking at things from quite some time before it happened here. And then all of a sudden it was here. And it took us, I think, 2 or 3 days before we were all working from home. So we first started to set up some meetings, on online meetings. We had some seminars and we decided to have them online instead of on site. But then all of a sudden, that was from a Thursday to a Monday, we realized that it would not even be reasonable to go to the office on Monday. But, as our work is an extremely mobile work, we are all equipped to work from home. It was a bit of, I would say it was a bit acrobatic to, combine home and work and school and shop and everything all together. But I think we're used to face challenging situations, to find solutions, and at the other hand, we are working with people who were even in a worse situation, right? Because they were not home, and we could very fast understand that their situation was needing a lot of care and management, much more than what we needed living in our own country.
I mean, I think that's what's been so overwhelming about the response of our industry, and, you know, people like yourselves, that suddenly, you know, you understand. I mean, we've always understood how very important what it is that is done by our industry is, but, you know, to move to a new place is hard enough. To move to a new place when something like this is happening in the background, you know, I don't know if you saw, but Francis last week did a great little introduction to our online and said, you know, the key workers in our industry have just been phenomenal. And, you know, how was that for your team?
Yes, indeed. I have to say that the very first weeks was a crisis management, right? So every single customer that you have has a particular situation, particular needs, and particular possibilities. People just could leave the country, some other just could not. You're not allowed any longer to go to the place and help them getting the keys, where would they sleep? And these are all very fundamental needs, right? And we never thought that we would have to cope to those situations. But we have, I think, a very responsible, dedicated team. And everyone really made huge efforts to have every single assignee on the right place, or the best place where it could be, with a plan for the future that was amended weekly based on the response of the pandemic and the measures. And now we are looking forward to resuming the activities, but something tells me that maybe the service provision will be impacted, and we will have to change our way of working and integrate new habits for maybe some months, some years in the future.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I don't know if you know, but Martina Charvay last week published a policy document for helping DSPs to deal with the impact now of working with COVID-19 as something that we all have to consider. And, you know, how you deal with healthcare, how you deal with your team's health, how you deal with, you know, managing expats. So that's all online. But it is, I wanted to ask you, so when this began, you know, Belgium, were you in lockdown about 9 weeks ago? Because it was slightly earlier than some countries.
Yes, we started, no, it was not yet 9 weeks ago. We started on the 16th of March.
Ah, yeah, okay. So
7 weeks, but it's quite some weeks.
Oh, it's a long time. And at that point, I mean, I've spoken to so many of our members and our board members. We were talking last week with the board, and a couple of people said, you know, when that first happened, the fear as business owners was, what do we do? You know, can we? How do people get paid? There's no revenue. How quickly did the Belgian, and, you know, for your operation in the Netherlands, how quickly did the governments come out with any support for you?
Yes. So they came very fast with the message that we would be supported. And then I would say in the 2-3 weeks we could see concrete measures that were promised and then really implemented. Yes, so that's indeed a great yes.
Really,
when you have that set, you can really concentrate on the business, right? Because you cannot let people working before you know that in a way they will be compensated for the efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was so fundamental, I think, for everybody that I've spoken to, because again, you know, suddenly you're in this completely new situation and you have no idea as a business owner, which is what we do, you know, how that's going to go forward. And from that point of view, how, I mean, at this point, are you seeing that most of your initiations are on hold? just being pushed forward? Is that where you are?
Um, I- it's hard to say. So I would say the initiations that we had before the lockdown, yes, so we are keeping them alive, and I think people will come. There is no reason to cancel them, right? Unless something happened with their particular situation, but that will not be related to the COVID situation in Belgium. But I do expect to have a change in the volume for the summer months. We have a travel ban in Belgium until the 8th of June. We really hope that the borders will open again after that date, and then we will be able to welcome, whoever is planning to settle down in Belgium. But it is true, we don't know how the companies will react, and how will they rethink their international mobility? Will the needs be the same? That's something I'm very curious about.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we're just running some research this week about, what's happening going forward. But it is very interesting to know, we've all been speculating, and I'm sure you have as a business as well, whether it will change patterns, whether it will change, enthusiasm to move, whether people just want life to go on. It was your plan in February that you were going to come and live in Brussels. Do you still just want that to happen? We're all humans. You talked about the borders being closed, and obviously, the borders opening and aviation resuming are critical to, assignments going forward. Are you hearing anything about what's likely to happen? I mean, you are a country surrounded by borders. This is...
Yes. Yes, so they're talking about opening the borders from 8th of June.
Yeah.
But so we first had a travel ban till the 15th of May, and that has been extended now till the 8th of June. But to be honest, I still have hopes that some borders will go open, because you have, traffic to the Schengen area and traffic within the Schengen area, and that can be subject to other regulation, different regulations. And I hope, for example, that the borders with our neighbors country, the Netherlands, Germany, I think, by the way, that the borders with Germany are open.
Uh-huh.
And France, under certain circumstances, you can travel, right?
Yes.
And those conditions are getting a little bit smoother than what they were before. So this is all bearing hope that mobility will increase in the coming weeks. I think the government is extremely cautious and looking at the response of the pandemic before confirming dates and measures. So it's also depending on how well we will respect the measures now, I trust.
Absolutely. And I mean, certainly that's what I'm hearing from people all over Europe, and certainly in the UK yesterday. They announced a very, very modest relaxation of restrictions. But of course, we don't want to go through this again with a second wave. So we're all still being super cautious. I just wanted to talk about, I mean, I know you are incredibly innovative as a company. You gave a wonderful Ignite in our Munich conference about how DSPs can work with millennials and more appreciate kind of what their needs are going to be. I just wanted, given that we've had some time, have you been thinking about, changing services and how things are going to move?
It's funny that you're asking the question, because when, after the very first crisis moments of the lockdown, yes, that's scary moment, frozen moment of, my God, what's happening here?
Yeah.
When that had calmed down, we had an online meeting with the team. I have to say that we just passed that was also the moment where we just heard that we got the Euro seal. So that was also a great celebration moment for the team. And that gave us, motivation to go even a step further. We started the meme trainings and decided to give, the time that we have now at our disposal into training and increasing that. That was a great opportunity from Eura. So thank you very much.
We could do.
And indeed, we are now reaching out to all persons we are working with and working for to make sure that we are still aligned with their needs. And our main question is, did your situation, did your priorities, did your context change due to the COVID? And is there anything else you think we should do in our service provision in order to be aligned with what you're facing? I can imagine that virtual mobility will become a trend. Maybe there will be shift in the budget, in the priorities. So we are trying to investigate on that. The response is nice, so people are happy to discuss, but they do not have the final words yet. I think it's too early in the process.
Absolutely, and I think it's fascinating how, I mean, in a way, this is completely the wrong time not to be able to have a conference, because these are the conversations we all want to have with each other, and obviously within the global mobility community as well. There are, some very smart, very innovative people in our industry and in global mobility HR who will be thinking about the processes, the policies, how they move forward. Because, when things do start again, our industry is absolutely central to the regrowth of our economies. So, from that point of view, I just wanted to ask finally, do you know at this point if there's any, because we're just going through this in the UK, how long the governments are intending to continue to support? Do you have any?
No,
we don't either.
No, we don't know. You don't? You don't either, right?
No, we don't know. I mean, they're saying the furlough will continue to the end of June, roughly.
Yes. I hope so. So we know we will be supported at least for May. So they say month by month. So that's something I can tell you. So month by month, we know if we will be supported, but it's not longer term.
No, very, very interesting. And again, just, we're sending out research this week to all the members across the network, asking for some statistical data to mirror. We've done this project in the UK to lobby the British government to recognise mobility formally. So we will be sending that out this week, because I think what you need to know is, if aviation is phased back in slowly, will your people be allowed in? It's really, really key. Listen, it's been so nice to catch up with you. Like I say, I'm so sorry we don't have a conference to actually have this conversation face to face. I would love to catch up again with you in a month or so and see where we are.
Yes, great. Would be
excellent.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
In the meantime, it's lovely to see you. If you haven't watched Eleonore's Ignite, it's on our YouTube channel and it's brilliant. And if you want to get into the mind of the millennial, it was such a great session. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you, Dom.
Lovely to see you. Take care. Stay well.
Bye. Thank you.